Hello YouTubers, Victorinox fan here with another video. This is going to be my review on the Byrd Cara 2 G-10. The first of the three knives that I received in the Spyderco USN Passaround 2. Oh, spec sheet. So before I really dive into my opinions on this knife, let me just shoot out a few quick specs. The overall length is 8.25 inches, which is about 216 mm. Closed is 4.75 inches, 121 mm. Blade is 3.75, 95 mm. 3.75 inches. But your cutting edge is really just about 3.2 inches. Let's just say. So I want to account for the choil. That's 81 millimeters, and then finally your weight is about 4.25 ounces. Showing you that. Awesome. So that was the specs I'd written down. Now I've read them to you. So that's all lovely and dandy, but you probably want to see something a little more relative. So here it is next to a Cara 2. I'd say overall it's about the same length. It's a similar length. So I'd say this is another alternative for those looking, around the 3.5 inch range knife, and they can't really afford an American-made Cara 2. The Chinese-produced Byrd Cara. Now, this is going to essentially be called the poor man's Enduro. How do I like it? I think for the money, which is around $30, it is a fantastic option as a beater knife. For those looking for around 3.5 to 3.75 inch blade to just use for utility work, kind of like throw around, they're not really concerned as a collectible, they just kind of want a beater knife. I think this is a great option. The design is very sound in terms of the choices they made in terms of materials, grind, geometry. Those are all done very well. So the functionality is good, the cost is low, and the durability seems quite good. So overall, I think it's just a really nice high value package, and more proof that the Chinese can produce as long as you tell them what to produce. So let's just kind of go over a few things. The real star of this knife, I think, is a blade. It's I'd say about 3 mm thick piece of HCR13 MOV. HCR13 MOV in my usage is average. It's nothing great, it's nothing bad, it's just, decent. Gets the job done. What it has, though, which really is in its favor, is just a good geometry. So a nice thin flat ground blade and a really high relief edge, like really high. More so than my Para 2, and I've sharpened up my Para 2, so this just allows it to slice and slice and slice. It was phone book paper slicing sharp when I got it, and I don't know if it is now. It is definitely paper slicing sharp. Flip pop hairs. Yep. It'll shave. There you go. It's shaving sharp, and I'm missing a patch. So it still holds an edge decent, and the geometry just facilitates it. Strops up fast. HCR13 MOV is a good steel, and yeah, I think the blade part, they just nailed it. It has this comet opening hole, which is, unanimous on all Byrd knives. Not my favorite, but it gets the job done. Now let's talk about the handle. The construction is skeletonized liners inside. You probably won't see that, and I forgot my flashlight. There you go. You can see that. I forgot my flashlight. It has G10 of medium texture, not as aggressive as, let's say, the Golden Colorado stuff, but still aggressive enough to give you some purchase, and slim carry, so it's due to the locking design. So G10 steel liners that have been skeletonized, I guess decorative milled back spacer. Pretty good on construction wise, right? The only thing I'm not a fan of on this knife are the handle ergonomics. This extra weird swoop here, it forces you into this saber grip, and it's not the most comfortable saber grip. It's in your hand, and I find that that's a hot spot. I kind of wish this wasn't there. If this little hump wasn't there, it would be an infinitely more comfortable knife. And you could grab it in, let's say, the hammer grip or up here if you needed to do some bushcraft. With that hump, it's a bit more limiting. I mean, it's good if you want to like really go back and you have something to, you know, prevent your hand from sliding forward, but it does have its ups and downs. So I'm not a huge fan of that extra hump here, and quite frankly, I wish they got rid of it. How is the blade centering? It's pretty good. It's a little off center right now, but that's probably because I need to tighten it after use. How is the locking mechanism? It's a lockback. It's not my favorite. I still take a good liner lock, frame lock, or compression lock any day over it. I find the ease of actuation, find the ability to actuate and close it much simpler. But the lockback is a tried and true design. How is this lockback? It seems solid. I mean, at no point did I feel it was poorly made. There is some play up and tiny bit up and down and some side to side play I can't really get rid of unless I really crank down on the pivot, which kind of makes it harder to open. The blade action I forgot to mention, very smooth here. What isn't so smooth is this spring. This spring is a little bit more rough, and you could tell that. I guess that's where the low cost option comes. It's not as easy to actuate and not as comfortable to actuate and smooth as, let's say, the Japanese made Spydercos, like on the Persian. That feels like a slightly better produced lockback. Now, but nonetheless, it is still very functional and is still very practical. What else is there? So I talked about the blade. Yep, you've got a choil to prevent your finger going forward, and you got some good jimping if you like the jimping. So you're covered there. So the 4-way positional pocket clip, pretty standard Spyderco, the same in the Tenacious. I actually like this knife more than the Tenacious because it's a bit slimmer. So again, also if you see the Tenacious but you're not crazy about liner locks, then this is always an option. It's cheap too. It's got a lanyard hole. But other than that, that's about it with this knife. It's a pretty standard utilitarian knife. There's not much of a collectible factor on it, but if you're looking for a good $30 beater, I'd be hard pressed to say that this is not an excellent choice. Maybe not a piece for my collecting needs because I've already got enough beaters, but you know what? Not everyone wants to spend a lot of money on a knife, and a lot of people want a knife that works. Here's a good option, guys. Enjoy, have a good one, and thanks again to the USN and Spyderco for setting this Passaround up. The next review I'll have up will be on the Spyderco Balance. Peace, guys.